Yeah, I'd be a strong advocate to get your children onto music. And I just started spiraling down this horrible anxiety about, oh my gosh, I'm going to not exist forever. The first gig I ever did, it's like a virtual gig, and it was in the Angreenen Theatre, and there was no audience. It was just a camera because it was in the middle of COVID. One of the songs in it, called In Aeternum Vive, we did a music video where we were all smoking in this abandoned church. It did really well. Like, for me, it went viral. You know, what about the little gay children out there who want to grow up and think, oh, there's a safe space for me as well? I think when you were saying, do you have a balance with your mental health and your work? I do want to progress and get bigger and bigger, just because, like, there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. But
Agreed.
whilst I'm doing that, I want to do it in a way that's not completely, you know, soul destroying.
Mhm. George, pleasure to have you today. How are you?
I'm good, Ryan. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Great, great, great. Question I want to start with, George, is who has been the biggest influence in your life?
Um, I'm gonna go with maybe an obvious answer, but I'd say my parents. They they always say that they had always wished that they had learned instruments and they had learned music while growing up, and it was very important to them that me and my siblings grew up with music, and they have great music taste. They've got a big collection of CDs and vinyl, and yeah. This is musically anyway.
Mhm.
My influence would be my parents and all of the people that they put us in front of, and yeah, they exposed us to a lot of different music. So that's pretty big, I'd say.
Yeah, well, why do you feel that like it was music that they kind of wanted to bring into your life or
Um, I don't know. I think it's the most amazing gift to give a child because I think every child is born with music in them. And if you nourish it and give it a chance, uh, there's a great joy to be able to just sit down and play the piano for hours. And yeah, I consider that a brilliant gift to give your child. Is it's even a gift of like being able to spend time with yourself because you can play instruments and sing by yourself for hours. And then it's a great gift because you can interact and feel energy off of other people when you're playing with them. Um, yeah, I'd be a strong advocate to get your children onto music.
Mhm. So when did it start for you? Like what was your first instrument?
Um, I first learned the violin or the fiddle um for a couple of weeks and I gave up because I hated it, but that was maybe when I was 6 or 7. Then I moved on to the tin whistle and I hated it. And then I moved on to the guitar and I didn't hate the guitar. I don't like teachers. I don't like teachers. I do. I have some lovely teachers that I still keep in touch with, but I'm not one of these people that likes being told what to do. I'm quite cantankerous at times. So, I didn't merge very good with a guitar teacher, and I didn't merge very great with piano teachers. Although I did eventually find a piano teacher that I learned everything from.
So was that kind of the difference in progressing, finding a teacher that worked well with you?
Yeah, like I was still scared every time I went back to do my piano lessons because I never practiced. Although, like, there was something I always got a lot more joy out of practice and playing instruments when it was on my own time and I was learning songs I wanted to learn. Um, and yeah, there was less pressure that way. So yeah, I don't know.
And that was through the ages of piano, guitar.
I don't know. Maybe starting at 9, 10, 11, and I really got into it when I was 12, and when I started becoming fluent because its own language, I suppose, is learning these instruments. When I really got fluent when I was around early teens, I really loved it, and I started like composing my own little tunes and things. And then I had always written poetry as a child because I was very gay. And then, yeah, my father and what's the word? He suggested that I should start mixing my poetry with the compositions that I was writing, and in secret I did. I don't like it when people suggest things because I go, no, it's just because I'm annoying, I suppose. But as soon as started like mixing my poems with writing in private, then maybe when I was 15, I started sharing them with my family, and I loved listening. I'd sing into my voice notes on a phone or a tablet. I loved listening back to it. Got a real joy out of it. So yeah, that's kind of the progression as to how I started writing and learning music.
You said a few times it sounds like you know you like to do your own thing. You don't like people telling you what to do. Why do you feel that is the way for you?
Just youngest child syndrome, maybe. I don't know. um, I don't know. I've always been that way. I was a bit of a loner as a child. I had friends, of course, but I loved my alone time, and I loved. We're just over, like we're neighbors, kind of. Where I'm from Burt, and there are no children near our house, so I spent a lot of time by myself and finding ways to entertain myself. And then I grew used to it, and I liked it, and then when people were suggesting, "Oh, you should do this, you should do this," I just like, no, leave me alone. I like doing my own thing. So maybe a bit of a not a recluse, but I like being in charge of my own life and my own decisions.
Yeah. How did that unfold then? You know, as you got older, because I suppose we go to school, you know, and
Mm.
then you need to go to college. Like, how did that come into play?
Um, at school, I was very academic, and I was a teacher's pet for a lot of people. But then I kind of gave up on school when I kind of went through an existential crisis around the age of 16, and I was like, why am I doing all of this pointless work at school?
What triggered that?
What triggered it? I think it was just I like the concept of death finally hit me. Like I understood. I'm not religious for context. I understood my when what I believe happens when you die is nothing, and that's fine. And I got that, but then it really hit me one day, and I just started spiraling down this horrible anxiety about, oh my gosh, I'm going to not exist forever, and that frightened the hell out of me. Yeah, and then when I realized that, I realized I'm wasting so much time learning trigonometry at school when what I love to do is singing. So I just completely gave up at school. My grades were still okay because, but I gave up and I started focusing on not university and not school, and yeah, I wanted to sing and I wanted to make films and I wanted to create, and I'm glad that I turned that part of me off that's just following what your teacher wants you to do.
How did that feel though? Because that's a big change.
Well, I was traumatized because I was really depressed, but it felt great. Like it felt very freeing to not feel like you had to do what your teachers were saying, or yeah, there was a whole drama because I was a good student. A lot of my teachers were like, what's going on?" It's like, "I'm free." And I didn't say that to them, but like I acted like that. I really did. Just I gave up in a lot of different, what are they called, subjects.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because I think like when we grow up, we can be influenced by what's happening in our environment, the people
Definitely.
around us. But like you, your teachers, you could say rebelling
Hmm.
against what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
How did you stay strong, or was there other people supporting you in the sense of you wanting to do what you wanted to do?
Um. Well, for people maybe listening that aren't from Ireland, the way the subjects work is after your junior cert, you just pick your favorite subjects. Um, and that's what I did. I dropped all of the subjects. Like I dropped science. I don't know, like I dropped all the boring subjects, and I just did woodwork and art and music. So I kind of made an environment for myself in school that was a little less academic and a little more creative, which I think was a good move because I would have just I would have hated school the last few years even more.
Mm.
And because I was working with more creative teachers, they understood why I didn't really care that much because, to be a creative teacher, you think you have to understand more creative students. Yeah, I don't know. How did you find school?
There's subjects that I liked,
Aye,
subjects that I didn't like, you know.
like everybody.
Um,
Aye,
yeah, like I went into secondary school and I really liked art,
aye,
something I really enjoyed. But when I went into secondary school, I left after 2 weeks. I didn't understand. I just hated it.
yeah.
And then I moved to like a practical subject. But
Mm.
yeah, some subjects I really struggle with. Some I kind of liked, you know. But I just seen it as a thing. It's just I just have to get through this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's one stepping stone of
Yeah.
But I suppose I always knew, growing up, that I always wanted to have a business. That was just kind of I
Mhm.
always kind of knew that. So everything in between was just like a stopgap, you could call it. You know,
Yeah.
just
Stepping
filling
stone.
filling up space. You
Yeah.
know.
Aye.
But yeah, but you know, it was good. It was good, I suppose. In
That's
hindsight.
good.
How would you describe yourself?
I'm a singer and an instrumentalist, I suppose. I like to think of what I like about being a musician and an artist is when I was a child, I wanted to be everything. I wanted to be a videographer. I wanted to be like a director, and I wanted to be a fashion designer, and I wanted to be a model at one stage, and I wanted to be a singer and a performer. And what's the great thing about what I'm doing now is I am all of those things because what I consider the finished product is the music video. So in the music video, you've got set design, you've got fashion, you've got performance, you've got the music, you've got the composition, you've got everything rolled into one big, beautiful project. So yeah, I describe that as the product. And then if I was to say how, like if I was to describe that product, I suppose I'm a folk rock artist, but I've got different influences from lots of different artists. I like mixing genres. I don't like sticking to one genre because I think when you're songwriting, each song is a story. So as long as you're depicting the story to what it should be, it doesn't really matter what genre you're using. So if something's more angry, I'll put it more rocky or punky. And if something's more soft, it could be pop or folk. So yeah, I don't know. I'd say I'm eclectic with genres and yeah, I don't know, a mix of everything. That's how I describe the art at least.
Mm. What's your favorite part?
There's a real sweet spot when something is coming together. Like when you're brainstorming and making ideas, that's exciting because you're like, oh, and then I can do this and this. Like with the last album, it was fun because I did it as a tarot themed album, and then I put a tarot card associating with each song in the album. And there was something fun about putting that all together and saying, oh, this song would suit this card and this song would suit this card.
So did you write the songs before choosing the card, or?
Well, some of them, yes. And then some of them, I was like, oh, I remember I wrote this a couple of years ago. That would suit this. And there's lots of songs about divine femininity, and there's songs about the queer community, and there's songs about the church as well. And I thought that they would all suit each other within this album. Um, yeah. And then there was a couple of songs I just wrote last year for the album. Because there's something very annoying in writing and releasing music is you write the music and it means something to you a lot. It doesn't mean as much to you 2 years later because that's not who you are anymore. So it's nice to have some songs be brand new so that it still feels fresh to you. So like some of the songs in the album I only wrote last year and they still feel fresh and relevant to me. Whereas there's songs in the album I wrote 5 years ago, and I don't really care about them anymore. I still like them, but when I'm singing them live, I'm like a completely different person with different emotions, and I can't relate to that song as much. So that's a different aspect of it as well.
Yeah, so it's like that song it was a story in time.
Yeah.
What kind of stories are they? You know, where does the songs bring you to?
When I'm writing, I have my notes app, which is like written thing, and then I have my voice app, which is that's where I would put down different chord progressions and little riffs. So sometimes I'd write in my notes app and I'd say, "Oh, that's a nice lyric," and I can put that to the chord progressions in my voice app. And sometimes a song just comes out in an hour, and I don't have to, like, I don't know, like it just comes from different pockets of inspiration throughout life. So they're about all sorts of different things. I'd sing about anything. Like the first album I put out was called Cold Toast because I was singing about breakfast. Like, so I don't really care what I'm singing about. It's like, it doesn't matter to me. Um, as like, if you've got a little pocket of inspiration, that's a wee gift that your life has given you. And if you sell it to the best of your ability, you know, you owe it to that little idea to sell it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So it's
Okay.
about anything.
So you left school then. You finished. I assume you done your leaving cert.
No.
Oh, you didn't even do the leaving cert.
Well, because we were in the COVID year,
Okay.
and I was really dramatic during it. I was like, "No, it's too dangerous. We cannot do this leaving cert." And I don't really care about our safety or anything. I did not want to do the leaving cert.
Mm.
People talk about their leaving cert for not generations, like, but decades after they've done their leaving cert. I hear from my mommy and my daddy and my aunts and uncles that they wake up from a nightmare that they forgot their pencil case and it's their leaving cert. I don't want to go through that. It means nothing to me. I don't care about the point system. I don't care about the subject. COVID was an awful time for lots of people. The last thing I wanted to do was my leaving cert. I was singing at home and I was having a lovely time on it. So yeah, sorry for context, my voice is dead.
You're
That's
fine.
why I sound kind of gravelly. But yeah, I didn't do my leaving cert. Just what was it? It was, I think it was the 13th or 20th of May. And we all were watching the news in maths. And Leo Varadkar was up on the big screen. We had the projector up, and he was saying, "School is shutting down." And then we literally just packed up our bags and left. We didn't even finish the school day. I don't think we finished the school day. Gosh, it was so quick. But we literally left and never came back to school. And I'm fine with that. I mean, like, I would have liked to have said goodbye to certain teachers and things. And there wasn't really any closure with that. But it was lovely to just go home. And I just started planning music. I planned my first album. I was planning my first release. And I was quite excited about all that. It was a nice time of my life, even though it was a horrible time worldwide for a lot of people. I was very privileged to have the safety of being in rural Ireland and not having to worry about any of these things. Yeah, I was very lucky. It was a nice transition into adulthood, I suppose.
Yes. So it kind of like escalated you into the music industry.
Yeah, well, like it was nice to have the space to start writing and recording, and I planned my first release, which I released the 18th of September 2020. So this is going to be my 5-year anniversary this year for putting out music, and then put out an album the next year, and then I put out another album the next year, and then I put out another album the next year. Yeah. I've loved it ever since.
And had you been playing any gigs up to that point, locally or anything?
Well, there was nowhere to play gigs because of COVID.
But even before COVID?
No, never.
So you never put yourself out there?
No, I was quite insecure at school in
Why do you feel that?
just because, I don't know, I was embarrassed. It's embarrassing to put out music, and there's something very cringy about selling yourself and putting your face on a piece of artwork with music underneath it.
Why do you think that is though?
I don't anymore, but
Yeah,
as a
at that time.
teenager, like a lot of people who are in the same boat I was, they'd say, "Oh, how do I get into music? Like how do I do it?" And they have this cringy feeling in their chest, And the honest answer is you just have to do it, and you just have to post the embarrassing picture of yourself. And even listening to your own voice recorded, that's horrible. Nobody wants to hear themselves, but you get used to it and you become comfortable with yourself, and you become comfortable with the image of yourself and like what your voice sounds like. That's just, it's like going through puberty. It's hard to go through those embarrassing firsts, but once you do it, you get used to it. And I actually, because of COVID and all of the lockdowns, there was something very protective about the lockdowns, that I didn't have to see anybody from school. I didn't have to see any family. I could put out these embarrassing things and not hear their judgment, which was, it was like a security blanket at the time.
Yeah, because you're not in school anymore. You're not gonna hear anything from anyone in
Exactly.
your years. So it's
Yeah.
it's like a different environment, isn't it?
Like there were some people that were releasing music in school and they were getting slagged, and like I didn't want to get slagged, and I thought it was really unfair that people were being mean to them, but they were putting themselves out there and trying something, which is really commendable. But I didn't, one, I wasn't bothered. I didn't think it was worth the effort for being slagged at school, and two, I didn't mind waiting. I was okay to wait until I left.
Yeah, I think if you did put it out in school, you would really need to be tough, because
Oh gosh, yeah.
that could be the
You need to have
difference.
thick skin.
Yeah, it could be the difference in you actually pursuing it or not.
Yeah.
You know, let's imagine you did say in
It's very
fourth, fifth,
disheartening to have people
Yeah.
make fun of you.
especially teens, like, because they've been cruel.
Yeah. Teenagers are mean.
True.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just like, other kids just don't like other kids to
Yeah.
see get on. You know.
Like even you putting out a podcast, like there's lots of firsts in putting out a podcast, and yeah, as you were saying earlier, we were sitting on mics and stuff. There's lots of teasing, and that's just part of it.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little more safer, and you're a little more secure when it's in the safety of adulthood.
Yeah. Definitely years ago would have been a bit, insecure. Now I'm like, I can own it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm owning this. I'm still learning. It's still a lot I don't know. Is it okay we test this? You know,
Yeah.
and I know that you're mature enough and patient enough to
Aye.
bear with me. So that makes it a lot easier to, you
Yeah.
know.
Aye.
So you started gigging.
Yeah. The first gig I ever did was what was it called? It had a special name. It's like a virtual gig, and it was in the Angreenen Theatre, and there was no audience. It was just a camera, and it was on this big stage, seeing loads of seats, just rows and rows of seats empty, because it was in the middle of COVID. So loads of different places were getting local acts because they couldn't bring acts from further afield because all of the, I don't know what they're called, but like people weren't allowed to move from county to county. So that was my first ever gig, was just like on a camera, and it was so weird because a big part of my act is talking to the audience and feeding off the audience, and I had no idea who I was as an artist then, and I didn't know that was going to be a big part of my act. And then when things started opening up again, I did the Argyll Arts Festival, and I had no idea how I was going to. Just had no idea who I was as a performer. And then I started talking to the audience, and the audience would maybe laugh or go ooh or ah or whatever. And I realized, oh, I actually love this, and I love the interaction. And then gigging became kind of half storytelling and half singing and half having a laugh with people. And I really found myself, and this was still acoustically. Eventually, I did 2 albums where it was just me, and then I started getting sick of it, because I seen in an interview once, Prince said, "Enough of this analog, or not, what was it? Enough of these fake instruments. Just get a band and just record it in real life." And
Just get a what?
Like get a real band and
Okay.
record it in real life. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do synths anymore. If Prince says I need to get a band, I'm going to get a band. And I started to trial and error, trying with different instrumentalists. Finally have, now, in current day, I finally have a band set up that I'm happy with, and we all get on, and everybody's well practiced and everybody seems invested. And it completely elevates the sound of each song that you're recording and each song when you're performing, because like there's only so much you can do with a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's lovely sometimes if you want a more stripped back thing. But yeah, I'm really happy with what gigging is for me now. I am enjoying it a lot.
Good. How did you pull the band together? You're a young man too. Like,
Mm, um, a lot of it's just immersing yourself within the music scene. I mean, I played I played Stendhal this year, but 3 or 4 years ago, I played Stendhal with just me and the guitar, and there was a great turnout. Like I was really happy with the people that showed up to watch my set, and one of the people was Steamy McKay, who's a drummer from Burt. Actually, we had been neighbors for our most of our lives, and I had no idea that this was the case. And he came up to me and says, if I ever needed a drummer, I know where to go." Um, and he's in some brilliant bands. He's in a band called Tramp and in a band called Four Nile and a band called Rua and Skull. So he's working overtime and he's brilliant. And then he introduced me to a bassist. And then that bassist introduced me to my current bassist. And that bassist introduced me to my current guitarist. And that guitarist introduced me to my current keys player. So it's just a chain reaction from meeting up at a festival. It's really serendipitous. Um, yeah, and I suppose that's just from going to gigs, and you get the gigs from going to open mics, and you get the open mics from showing up at the open. Just got to show up and immerse yourself within the community. And there's a lovely community in Letterkenny and Derry, and I found like a musical family there, which is lovely.
yeah. What was the biggest challenge for you in bringing yourself from writing music to putting yourself out there? And yeah, to where you are today, like, what has been the
Um,
biggest breakthrough for you?
of course, it's that initial threshold of putting out the first thing is the most nerve-wracking thing. But there've been different moments throughout that I've recognized, oh my gosh, this is significant and it means something. I remember with not the album I put out this year, but I put out an album last year or 2 years ago now, Jesus, called Vehicular Suicide. It was all horror themed and it was morbid and gory.
Why was that?
Just I love Halloween. I love
Okay.
horror films. That's me.
Yeah, yeah.
I always do shows around Halloween. I love spooky season and anything,
Yep.
you know. But one of the songs in it called In Aeternum Vive, we did a music video where we were all smoking in this abandoned church, and it did really well. Like for me, it went viral. Other people would say viral is hundreds of millions, but it got a couple 100,000 views, and honestly, it's changed my life. That music video and that song, because it introduced me to like a lot of opportunities. And last year, Paul Weller, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with his music, he's in the Jam and the Style Council, and he has his own solo career. He found my music through a friend in Derry, and he asked me if I would support for him on his American tour last year, and that was life changing. And then that led to playing the Jools Holland Show a couple of months ago, and that was, like it's always these chain reactions where you think, oh, this is a small music video. You don't know that. And I didn't know that. And it became a big music video and it became, where I am now.
What was the tour like with Paul?
The tour, okay, well, there was two sides to the tour, which was the singing side and being on the shows, which was amazing. Like it was playing to like 1,500 to 2,500 people every night. So you've got this big crowd in front of you who've never heard of you before. So like you're really tapping an audience that you would never have had. And they're the most beautiful theaters, like with gold trimmings and the red curtains and all that stuff. And the artists that I have grown up loving have played these stages, and it was really emotional, like playing all of these different stages. Like literally everybody I've ever loved as an artist, I've now played the same stage as them. I feel that's a huge honor. Like that's not normal. It's amazing that I got to do that. Um, and then there's the second side of the tour, which is driving and driving and driving and lots of driving. And it was amazing to see all of the sights, but it was also an absolute nightmare. Being on the other side of the road, and I had this like, because it was my daddy driving and I was navigating, and you can imagine the communication between father and son can be annoying sometimes, but like we got through it. And I kept pushing at the ground with my foot because I wanted to press the brakes all the time because I was on the other side of the road. I felt like I should be in the driver's seat. Yeah, that was a challenge for sure, but really so worth it. Like the most amazing experience. It started in, I think New Jersey was the first show. It was the East Coast anyway. And then we went up to Canada, then back down into the middle of America, then back up to Canada, and we did the whole West Coast. So it was like this big M, and it took 30 days and 30 nights.
And how many shows?
16 shows.
Wow.
And then 2 shows were in Ireland. So it was a big feat. Like the biggest thing I had ever done. I slept for a month when I got home. I was exhausted.
What would you say, the biggest lessons you had from that experience are?
A huge lesson was, oh, I could just do that. Like do the tour. I had always thought like there are lots of different glass ceilings that you have to get through. And I always thought like looking up, oh my gosh, one day when I'm in a record label, or one day when I'm famous, or one day when I'm I can do a tour. But then when the opportunity was put in front of me, it was like, are you doing it or are you not? And I learned, oh, I could have just done a tour this whole time.
So are you telling me that there was thoughts about doing a tour before Paul Weller came along?
Yeah, like I always, like that's the goal. You want to go off and do tours, but it's always, you always want that push. And that was my push. And because I did it, I now realize, oh, I can just do a tour. I just got to save up. I've got to get funding. I've got to do all of the grafting and planning. And I've organized one now. I've got a tour in October and November of Ireland and the UK. And yeah, I'm just doing it now. And I've learned I can. Yeah, it was a big learning curve for me.
Okay. So you're touring Ireland, UK, and are you touring much around, say, the north, the west, yes, south?
What is it? Letterkenny, Derry, Donegal, like in the Ballard Theatre. Then there's Belfast, Dublin, Galway. And then we're going to Scotland, Manchester, London, and Brighton.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you decide on the locations, and how did you say, right, this is where I'm going to go?
Kind of a stupid way, but it worked for me, and tickets are selling good. When you put up music on Spotify, you're given this app called Spotify for Artists, and you get to look at all your statistics and all your demographics. And I just looked at where is my top demographics, and I said, fuck it, I'm going to Brighton. Yes. I don't know if you can curse on this. There's been a few times I was going to curse. Yeah, bleep that out.
That's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just my statistics. I was following them, and look, thankfully it's worked out. Because I didn't know. I'd never played over there before. I don't know what cities I'm going to go to. I'm going to Glasgow specifically because my brother's lived there for 10 years and he knows the scene well, and it would be nice to visit as well.
How do you, say, look after yourself on a day-to-day basis of, managing your well-being? Is it much of a struggle for you? Sometimes people look at people like, oh, he's an artist, or he's an actor, or, life is great.
I'm not very good at managing it. I'm not good at managing it at all. I need to figure out how I can separate the George Houston as a brand versus myself, because I'm constantly on my phone working and I never turn off, honestly. I was at a festival the last weekend, hence my voice. And there was no battery on my phone. And it was honestly such a nice weekend because I'm usually just always working, always on my socials. Like, there's being an artist, that's one thing, but I'm the marketer and the manager and the agent and the everything at the moment. So I would like to maybe in the future join a label of some sort and build my team because I'm starting to feel it and I'm starting to feel like, okay, I need to get somebody else to do this for me because it's becoming a lot. So that's just, yeah, I'm not managing it very well at the moment, but I'm gonna get there. I suppose leaving your phone at the end of the room when you go to bed, that's a good trick.
Yeah, it can be hard.
Yeah, it is.
You know, because they're just so consumed by it, you know.
Yeah.
And if it's same with me too, sometimes with work, like pick up the phone first thing and last
Yeah.
thing, you know. But sometimes I just try to switch off and just say, you know what, it's
Aye.
still going to be there tomorrow.
But that is the problem. It's just you're carrying your work everywhere with you. But
that's what happens too when you, I suppose, like you really enjoy what you're doing, so you know you're always trying to
I know
progress. Like
it's very conflicting because I love interacting with people online and I love obviously everything about the music. But you have to be careful about not making it a chore because then you won't love it anymore. So yeah, I suppose I remove myself from it sometimes because I want to still love it, which is an important part.
how would you say that like music makes you feel about yourself? Like where does it bring you to in your being? You able to put that into words?
Um, yeah, like I remember when I was a child and I'd watch singers sing, I could feel in my chest what it was like for them to sing those notes. And I couldn't even sing like that. And it's a very bizarre experience. I'm not sure if I'm describing it well, but like when I heard Aretha Franklin and she would belt this high note, I could feel in my chest, that must feel really freeing. And I want to sing like that. And then I slowly started practicing my range and practicing different vocal techniques. Um, and the more I could sing without straining my voice, the more enjoyable it became. And I finally got that feeling that I knew existed. Like I knew it must feel amazing to sing like that. And I finally got to that place where I can belt and I can sing these high notes. And it is this real freeing feeling. And then I suppose when you're singing with your own lyrics, there's something it's very personal. Sometimes it's very sad. And I get choked up sometimes singing my own songs because they come from real life experiences and it's traumatic sometimes.
Can you share some of them experiences?
Yeah, like typical singer songwriter singing about heartbreak and like having traumatic breakups with people. I'm lucky that I'm now secure in a relationship, but I've had one heartbreak before and actually well, not one, a few. But it really sticks with you and sometimes when I don't know, I'm a very sometimes I'm a very glass half empty kind of a person and I get really in my own head and music has been the thing that's gotten me out of it. And not just the music but the working with other people. I remember when I was doing my third album and working with my videographer Niall on the music videos. That was the first time in maybe a full year that I felt better after a really bad breakup. Um, so yeah, I owe a lot to music for making me feel better and meeting other creative people because it doesn't have to be a solitary thing. It's great to be creative with other people and collaborate. And that can be like the fun that you have with them whilst you're creating something. That's very not cathartic, but it's uplifting when you need that little lift from something.
Hmm. Would you say like that? You know, your most challenging moments. Does some of your best music come from that?
Mm.
It seems like a lot of music is inspired by people who go through tough times.
Yeah. Uh, Gosh. It's annoying because I would love to be like, disco and chic and all these people that can sing about dancing and having a great time. I would love to do that more because it must be a lot of fun. But yeah, I do sometimes when I'm at my lowest, a little something in my head, like I talk to myself a lot like a crazy person.
I mean, do we not all?
And sometimes when I'm talking to myself, I say something, I'm like, that's actually profound as curse word. That's profound as hell.
You can curse, it's all good.
Okay. I say that a lot. I'm like, oh, that's profound as fuck. And I'd write that down in my notes app because usually when I'm crying and stuff, I don't want to be singing. Sometimes I do, but sometimes I just want to. Sometimes something comes to me and I write in my notes app, and I'm like, when I'm feeling fit to it, I'm going to come back to that little lyric there and I'm going to write something around it. So yeah, definitely from the lowest moments, something pretty comes out of it, which is lovely. Like there's something poignant in there.
Yeah. Would you say that you believe in yourself as an artist?
Oh yeah, I'm my
Yeah.
number one fan.
Why is that important?
Well, like I don't know if it is important. There's definitely a lot of artists who are very insecure and don't believe in themselves, but they do amazing. But if I didn't like myself as an artist, I would stop. I love the music I write because it's literally tailored for me.
So you're writing to yourself as such?
Oh yeah, like sometimes if it's a love song, sometimes it's for another person. But it's the genres I like, it's the aesthetics I like, it's the music I like. I'm singing in the vocal styles that I like, so it's really tailored to what I like. And because of that, I'm incredibly biased, and I do like my music. Yeah, so I do. I don't know if you say I believe in myself. I'm not. I don't know where I'm going to go with it, but I believe in myself that I think, oh, I really like what I'm making. In that way, I believe in myself.
Like a confidence.
Um,
You seem like
just a self-assured.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like you're a confident guy.
I'm confident in myself. I think sometimes I'm very introverted, but I'm confident in that. And like when I'm on stage, people would say, "Oh, he's acting very clumsily or awkward," but I'm comfortable with that, and I don't feel the need to be all blasé and chest out. I'm comfortable being a little more awkward. It's fine. Like that's just myself. It's
Yeah,
fine.
but I feel like you have it's like a self-assured confidence, which is it's nice to see because I didn't know who I was meeting today,
Yeah.
And I can see you're also your humor as well. As I said, I feel like maybe you could be a comedian too.
Yeah, that would be interesting to do. Just what are they called? A stand-up set. People be disappointed though that I'm not singing.
I actually seen I seen an act who are musical and they do comedy through their music. I think I don't know, they're from Australia.
Okay,
Have you seen them though?
you need to be
No.
more specific. But
Yeah,
maybe
it got shared with me. It was impressive. It was very unique. I have never seen that before, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I like saying that
but
I have
not like touching music. You know what I mean? It's not like going to be any touch the hearts of many. Like, but sorry,
fair.
go ahead.
It's just like I do listen to a lot of acts like that who have some humor in their music and humor with how they present themselves. And I suppose I've always been a people pleaser and I've always liked to make people laugh. And then when I mixed the two when I was writing, it kind of turned into music that was written for people who use humor as a defense mechanism. So it is still sad music, but yeah, there's that comical element to it, I suppose. I'm not sure. I'm wording that right.
Your music's quite unique too. Like when I listened to you, I was like, this is kind of different. I haven't really heard someone like this before.
Thank you.
You do come across artists that kind of fall into a similar category, but yours is different.
Thanks. Yeah, people would come up to me after shows and they'd be like, "You're kind of like this. You're kind of like this," and then I'd love it when people say, "I don't know who you're like," and that makes me feel like, oh, that's because I'm like myself.
Mm.
And you've discovered a new person. But so that's lovely and refreshing when people come up to me and say, like what you're saying. And it's not for the want to be unique, but it's just the want to be yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, it's nice to be yourself. And sometimes when I'm practicing with the band, they're like, oh, I think we should go down this direction with like this sound, and they'd reference a band. I'm like, yeah, but let's not get too attached to that and just let it be whatever it wants to be. Because particularly with rock bands, I feel like a lot of them love referencing, and they love referring to other artists and saying, oh, we're going to do this part like, I don't even know. I'm quite uncultured when it comes to different rock bands and different people. People ask me, do you know this person, this person? But yeah, they'd reference different bands. I'm like, I don't really care what they want to sound like. Let's just think about it from from point zero. Doesn't have to sound like anybody else, and that's okay.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's important not to be attached to anything.
Aye.
Sometimes I'm kind of like that too. It's just like just trust the flow, whatever comes.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, open to it,
Mm,
but yeah, without being attached, you know.
yes.
So the music industry, have you found it hard to adjust that to that way of life with the touring, with the playing different venues?
Like, I don't really have anything else to compare it to. The only, like, the day-to-day life is working on your phone, and
When you say working on your phone, like, is it instead of a computer, or
I'm used to
you
it, I
don't need
guess.
your computer yet?
I have a computer and I need to start working on it because I don't like having my work everywhere with me. But it has become this kind of 24/7 lifestyle of, like, if I get a sale on with, like, if I sell something, some merch online, I gotta respond to this. If I'm getting messages from a venue or a promoter or an agent, or, I just always have to be on standby at the
Mm.
very least. Um, and then on Instagram, people want to talk to you and people comment things on videos, which is lovely. And I like replying to people, and I like them to know that I appreciate it, because I really do appreciate when people make the effort to compliment me.
Mm.
And even sometimes people make the effort to insult me, and I think that's funny. So I don't mind. I don't mind replying to that either.
What kind of insults?
Well, we put out a music video, the one where we're all smoking, and they're saying, "Fucking state of use, like, don't even know how to smoke a cigarette," and like, "Oh, you think you're so cool," and like, it's hilarious. I don't like if it's a little bit of meaningless controversy. I don't really care. So it was, yeah. There's a humorous aspect to the drama, and it's like such trivial drama over cigarettes. Obviously, don't smoke, but
Yeah. Yeah, but there's always people out there going to say something.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter
you're
what you
you're
do,
never
like-
going to please everybody, so don't go out thinking that you're going to.
Yeah, your music too. I know you said it touched on like different communities.
Aye.
And then your videos. They're like there's a lot of goes into them. I can tell. You know, you dress up and the venues and stuff. And
Aye.
why is that, like, why is that important to you?
It's just lived experience, and I'm just reflecting what life I've lived. Yeah, I don't know. It's just who I am, I guess.
Yeah. And what do you kind of try to, like, in terms of messages that you like to deliver to the people listening? You know, what would you?
I try and not be too vague. I think a lot of artists, particularly pop artists, are very vague. Like, they'd sing a line like, "Oh, I love you," because they want everybody to relate to the line "I love you," which is sweet. But sometimes I love being specific, because there's, like, I wrote a song called "The Other Man," and it's about married men, like, who are closeted and gay, and they will go off and cheat on their wives, even though they have a family. And this is very common. Like, 1 in 10 people in Ireland are gay, whether people like it or not. This is the reality. And a lot of them are closeted and married. And I wrote a song called The Other Man, about this experience and this phenomenon. It's not a phenomenon. It's like, it's an awful community of closeted people who go off and cheat on their wives because they're going to always live a lie. And I wrote a song about this whole community of closeted men. And I didn't mind being specific about it because then when I wrote the song, a lot of people came up to me and were like, I didn't know anybody else was even experiencing this. I didn't know anybody
So
else.
married men came up to you?
No, not married men. Like
Sorry.
the people that, like married men would, they would hit on younger gay men, and a lot of them would prey on younger gay men, and it's not a healthy dynamic in the Irish world. And a lot of these younger men, and this has been happening for generations, so there's people of all ages would come up to me and say, this is really refreshing to hear someone sing about something that is relevant to me. So yeah, it's important to make your audience feel represented and not be too vague. Like I could say, you did a bad thing, and just not describe what's happening. But yeah, so I don't mind being specific, because then the people that I'm singing about will feel, oh, I feel seen and I feel represented. And representation of the queer community is not always there, particularly everywhere. Like, we grow up with princes and princesses and the Disney dream and the happy ever after with the mother and father and the family. You know, what about the little gay children out there who want to grow up and think, oh, there's a safe space for me as well? So yeah, it's about representation, which is a good thing, I believe.
Yeah, well, I'm part of that community too, so like I can understand what you're talking about, and it's definitely a problem or a challenge for men who
Yes.
are in that situation, you know, and because I think what happens is, you know, you've kind of made a decision, say in your teens or 20s, and you get married or whatever, and then maybe them feelings or emotions that they're experiencing come later on in life, and then it's just like, it's hard to change because then there's a society, and then there's the people and the judgment, and a lot of that comes with it.
Yeah.
I do think we're changing as a society.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think people are becoming more, I would say, at least open and welcoming to, you know what, actually this is just part of human nature too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like, we have come a long way, but that doesn't, yeah, there's always more of a long way to go. And I think, yeah, the problem is, it's important when you're a child to know all of the different kind of humans that live out there, because then you know, oh, I could be that kind of person. I could also not be that kind of person. And I think it's important for parents. If you don't want to have a disabled child or a trans child or a gay child, then you shouldn't have children, because you don't get to choose whether or not they're going to be that. And that's the long and short of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to be considerate of the child and what they're going to grow up to be as well. Yeah.
Was that hard for you, being yourself?
No, because like, I was in the middle of the country, and like, I wasn't a townie or anything. I wasn't like at school. I didn't want to. I think when people are growing up, there's no such thing as coming out of the closet. Closets are built up around people, and people are told to repress these parts of themselves. I never really felt the need. Like, I didn't feel like I was repressing anything, because I wasn't like going with anybody either way. Like, yeah, I didn't feel that was a problem for me personally. But I'm part of that community, and I've grown up with people who have been bullied and abused and like abandoned by their family, told to leave their families, people who will die in the closet and will never come out, and they'll always live a lie. And that's really depressing, and it's not a nice aspect of growing up in Ireland. And it's not just Ireland, it's like, there's so many countries out there that it's illegal still to be gay or bi or pan or trans. And it's very dangerous in a lot of countries for these individuals, unfortunately. It's a hard life for a lot of people. I'm very lucky. My parents are very lovely people. but a lot of parents aren't lovely people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's to do with what their friends, the people around them,
Yeah.
being
You
judged,
need
you
a
know.
community that
Yeah.
is safe. You need a safe space to grow up.
Yeah, and sometimes I think people need to move away to
Aye,
experience that, or to meet their people, to feel that
definitely.
they're accepted and be
Yeah.
themselves, you know. And again, it can be tough still, like, you know, growing up in a town or whatever, you know,
Mm.
as we said earlier, like, kids, teens can be cruel, like,
Yeah,
you know. And you hear people doing, like, you know, suicide, and
yeah.
there's a lot of that, like, you know.
Aye. And like I'd hear of people, there's a big argument from more homophobic people, and they'd say, but we have to protect our children. And then, but what they're not considering is protecting the queer children who do commit suicide, and we're losing these, like, they're also important members of society. So I think a lot of people, for religious reasons, uh, like they have all of their reasons as to why they don't agree with them. I think they just need to be a little more open, they need to feel like it's a safe community, because it is a safe community, and they just want to be looked after as well, like everybody else. They want to be treated normal.
Mm. Trans seems to be like a real topic at the minute. That it's like they're trying to find their way, or,
Mhm.
you know, be seen.
Yeah.
The way I look at life is, you know, if someone's not doing you any harm, like, and they're happy,
Yeah.
just why would I have opinion on
Yeah.
somebody or something that has nothing to do with me? You
At the end
know,
of the day, people are people. You
yeah,
have to just, like,
we're all human.
everyone's different, and the important part is people are human, and people
Exactly.
are taking the humanity out of. Ah, I could really get into it, but
Well, I
yeah,
mean, that's you know, some of your music is inspired by that, because you had the
yeah,
song drag
drag queen.
drag queen,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I seen a T-shirt once, and it said, "The men in dresses committing child abuse are not drag queens," and it was a picture of the Pope's robe, and it really stuck with me because there is this big hypocrisy. Because of course, there's been systematic child abuse within the church for generations. There's been priests that have been moved from parish to parish, and they've been kept secret, and they've been protected. And they have the gall to point their finger at the queer community and say, point at drag queens and say, how dare you try and read storybooks to children in libraries. And it's a hard pill to swallow. And I really do not mind singing a wee protest song about that, because, yeah, I don't like the hypocrisy of it.
Mm,
Hard pill to swallow.
yeah. No, I hear what you're saying now. It just comes back to me. It's just like live and let live, and just let people be people.
Yeah.
You know, if we're not, there's a lot worse going on out there. You know, there's
Oh,
kids
jeez.
being bombed
I
in
know.
different countries, as you know, like
Yeah.
Palestine being tragic, even Ukraine. You know, so yeah. Um, as you now going into the next few years of your career,
Mhm.
what would you, I suppose, like to happen, or how do you see yourself?
I love what I'm doing now. What I would like to happen is to continue doing it, but become more and more comfortable, because it's very hard grind and it's very constant. So I'm trying to just gradually make it more normal and more comfortable and more sustainable, so that I'm not worried about, you know, being broke all the time, which is a part of it. Like, it's not the most it's not the biggest money making scheme. So yeah, I want to become more comfortable. I want, yeah, just to not be worried as much.
Hmm.
And there's lots of different worries, because there's nothing reliable about being a musician. It's very unreliable, and working from gig to gig, and then the gaps between gigs can be big or they can be small. And yeah, I'm just gonna try and work on my scheduling and my making things more sustainable.
Good, good. And then when that happens, if that's the path that you desire,
Mm.
then I suppose new challenges will come up. Then it'll
Oh
be
yeah,
like,
there's always gonna be
like,
something.
you know, if you want to go and play bigger gigs, bigger
Yeah,
crowds,
aye.
bigger,
I'd love to do that,
yeah.
obviously, but yeah, I think when you were saying, do you have a balance with your mental health and your work? I do want to progress and get bigger and bigger, just because like there's nothing wrong with being ambitious, but
Agreed.
whilst I'm doing that, I want to do it in a way that's not completely, soul destroying.
Mhm. But if it's feeding your soul, then
It does, but there's a music part, but the workload just gets bigger and bigger. The music, it doesn't get bigger. Like
mm,
music can only feed so much soul. You also need rest and healing and recovery. So it's about that balance. That's what I want to achieve, the balance.
yeah. What does rest and recovery look like to you?
Sleeping.
Sleep, lots of sleep.
Sleeping and sleeping. Yeah, and food. Oh.
Yeah, good food, good food. You're based in Belfast now?
Yeah, well, Burt half the time. Like the band is in Burt. Well, not the band's not in Burt, although the drummer's in Burt.
Mm.
But the band is in Derry and Letterkenny, and they're all Donegal and Derry based. And then my partner's in Belfast, so I'm just half and half, up and down. I would like to. I'd like to start scheduling a little better, so it's more like I spend 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, that kind of
As
a
in
thing.
traveling and working,
Mm.
playing and
Like, yeah, I like when I'm in Donegal, I'm working, and when I'm in Belfast, that's when I'm resting more. So yeah, I need to start finding again the balance.
yeah. Yeah, that's like balance is always a tricky one. I always find myself like I worked for my 30s. I just worked pretty much all the time. Then took a break, and then when I took a break off, then I couldn't wait to get back and do something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the pendulum swings, and I think it's always swinging, but it's slow. I think for me, I'm trying to. No, I'm really busy at the minute, but I'm also conscious of not being too busy. I know that sounds counterproductive, but it's like I'll have a really busy week, but I'm like, I know that can kind of give me space in the week after, the 2 weeks after,
When you're self-employed, you have to say, this is my day off, and that's it. That's a big part of it.
Yeah. So that's it. I think for me, it's just like give myself the time. If I want to take a weekend off, I think that's like, that feels like a success for me. It's just like, can be busy and do everything I want,
Aye.
but as long as I can do nothing at the weekend, that's
very wise.
That's like life is, I'm successful.
Yeah.
That's
a good move.
But like for me, like success is just being able to do the things that you want to do, like, and you know what, honestly, George C, going for a walk, it's like one of the most simplest things, but that's like, it's like such a gift in nature, like,
that's what you should be doing every day.
Yeah,
it's hard to make time for these things, but like that's what is important.
So I want to talk about your albums. I think you have a new album being released as well, and that would be your fifth, is it?
My fourth.
Your fourth.
I put out an album this summer, the Friday the 13th of July, because I wanted it to be spooky and witchy, but summery at the same time. I recorded it last summer. Paul Weller, after I did the tour, he invited me to go to his studio and record an album in England. And I was like, yep, running to the ferry. And we got the ferry over, and it's in the beautiful countryside in Woking. And obviously, like it's a home studio well, it's not a home studio, but it's a studio near his home, and it's in this barn, and it's all lovely 70s decorations and colors.
Sounds like your vibe.
No, yeah, I loved it. And there's a big grand piano in the middle, which was lovely to record on. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. And then that's what I've been doing for the last year, is producing that album after we got home, and recording the music videos and getting vinyl pressed and organizing the tour for the album. So that's TODC. It's the original Death Card, and it's out now. So yeah, that's, I guess, the story of this last album.
And see, before you went there, I assume you had all the songs written, and then when you get there, do you have to bring your band with you? Yes.
Yeah, it was bass, guitar, and drums. We were all cramped in the ferry. We actually brought my videographer as well, and it's all documented. I don't know when we're going to get around to editing that, but we're hoping to put out a little documentary about the recording of TODC. which I'm really excited because it's such a vibe. Like it was in the middle of summer in Woking and everyone was sweating. So
Yeah.
it looks like cliche. It's so funny.
But see, like, was that your first time recording in a studio? Yes, like,
Yeah.
because all the previous recordings were done at home.
They were all done in oh, I've recorded in Letterkenny and Derry and Ramelton and Burt and Limerick and Dublin and Belfast and all over. I
Mhm.
mostly record in Letterkenny, but I've recorded everywhere. And actually, one of the songs in this last album was recorded in San Francisco in the tour.
Oh,
There's one of the last venues we visited is called the Fillmore, and a lot of 70s albums, a lot of acts would have a live at the Fillmore track. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing a 70s album. And I'm definitely like, it was just, I was so happy that I got to have a live at the Fillmore track in my new album. So yeah, that was a real pinch me kind of scenario.
I actually did notice that your artwork is always kind of 70s vibe.
Yeah.
Why has that had such an influence on you?
From like, honestly, the 50s all the way to the 90s, I think is peak human musicians and music. I think they were amazing. I think a lot of mainstream anyway, there's still amazing musicians out there. But when music was mainstream in the 70s and the 60s, it was so human. You could hear the instruments, you could hear mistakes, you could hear little people talking and things like it was human still. Whereas mainstream music nowadays, although there's a lot of it is great, a lot of it is so pristine and it's so unattainable and it doesn't even feel human to me anymore. So I love that it's more of a feeling. I love the feeling of music of the previous century because it's so human. And it's also a mixture of, I love folk, but I also love more experimental modern things. And in the 70s, a lot of the artists had these beautiful folk and country voices, but they were experimenting with new synths that were just being invented. And they were experimenting with psychedelics and all these different new, it was like a time of change. And you can hear that in the music. And same I want that same feeling that it sounds like a band and it sounds like humans are playing it, but it also there's synths and there's experimentation and there's still the possibility for something new and fresh, if
Mm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned something there too. I want to say to you is like, so I had a real experience with music myself
Uh-huh.
not a while back, where I was singing, was with psychedelics. It was I had taken psychedelics that night
Alrighty.
in a safe space,
Yeah.
um, which is the best way to do them. I wouldn't recommend. You need someone who knows what they're doing with that.
Hmm.
And one of the things that came to me is, so there was a shaman there and he was singing, and you follow him. So he starts singing after maybe half an hour, and then he sings, and then you repeat what he sings. So he
Hmm.
sings a verse and then you repeat it, and that's how the night goes.
Yeah.
It's constantly like that. But as the night gone, I noticed that my voice was opening, because obviously I was using it, I was singing, I was following. But
Aye.
what happened to me then was, uh the music was coming to me without even knowing the music. So I would I could see, so you can see things too. You can see the vibrations
Aye.
of the sound. So as he was singing, I could see the vibrations coming out of his mouth. I could also see them when I closed my eyes.
Yeah.
I could feel them.
Yeah, you
So
like following along with
but
them.
I was feeling them,
Yeah.
feeling the vibrations as I could see them. I could feel them. So it was like you are the music. It's like you're merging with the sound.
Yeah.
And as I was merging with the sound, my whole body became like an instrument,
Hmm.
and it literally felt like I was a guitar. I don't even know what a guitar feels like, but my whole body was vibrating. But that's the best. It's like, in the guitar, you have a belly of a guitar, the sounds coming out of that. That's
Mm.
what it felt like for me. And I could feel like my fingertips vibrate, like the tip of my nose. I always remember the tip of my nose was as I was breathing. It was amazing. And I wasn't saying that I was singing. It was more a case of, it was just making sounds, but the sounds in themselves, my whole body was like moving. It felt like my body was doing its own thing. And as I was making the sounds, I didn't know what was coming. They just kept coming to me.
Yeah.
I just trusted that, and the maestro, he was playing the guitar, and I was like, I'm going to go off here, but it was all in tune with the guitar. It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible. However,
I guess that's the 70s feeling there.
maybe that's why they were so in tune with music back then.
Perhaps.
You know, I know there's talks about the Beatles. There's a lot of artists talk,
Yeah.
experiment and had a huge influence. ABBA too, I think too.
Jeez, I don't know.
I heard
ABBA?
that. Hey, I'm not saying it's true, but anyways, but the Beatles definitely. But anyways, it had a huge influence on me that moment.
Oh, yeah.
No, I fucking love to sing, and
That's
I am
brilliant.
not a good singer, but I've been learning to use my voice in a way that I can enjoy singing in the car where nobody can see me.
Yeah.
I'd say if they pull up at a traffic light, they'll be like,
Oh, God.
I'll just try to keep it quiet then. But anyways, no, that was just an experience I had. I meant to share. But back to your point, then, that you're saying that's had a huge influence on you. The people from that time, who were them artists?
Well, David Bowie was a brilliant experimentalist. I love that word because it really does. There are different, like people say, psychedelic rock and classic rock and all these different genres. I think he was experimenting with different sounds and different synths, different pedals, like guitar pedals and stuff, and putting them on different instruments. And he experimented with his voice. He did everything. And I want to do everything like that. Like, I don't want one genre because that's boring. No, not that their genres are boring, but I want to do all of them and mix them up. Kate Bush was the same. She was very good at experimenting with different instruments and sounds. Fleetwood Mac, of course.
They're really good.
I love Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, like I really could go on.
Give me a few more.
Okay. And then there's like The Doors, T-Rex, Leonard Cohen, but he wasn't experimental or I don't know what that word is, but he wasn't he wasn't that much experimenting, but he's of that time, like that kind of folky scene with Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen and Joni Mitchell. I just look up to them a lot. And the artists that I like nowadays, they all say the same thing, that they love those artists of that time. Like I love First Aid Kit or Anoni and the Johnsons or Amel and the Sniffers, or like there's so many modern artists and people are like, oh, this is so timeless. And it's timeless because they're not doing this pristine hyper pop thing, which is a lot of fun, but it's just not for me. And I've seen the artists that I like that are still alive and well today. They also refer back to these classic artists of like, the 50s to the 90s.
Cool. So what's next for you, George?
What's next? I'm gonna go home. I don't know. I don't have any plans.
No, your next gig is in.
My next
I
gig.
know your tour.
Well, yeah.
Anything in between?
I've got my tour in October, but I have an album launch on the 19th. I don't know when this episode's coming out, but it's on the 19th of July. No, yeah, the 19th of July. It's not that far away. In Kinnegar Brewery in Letterkenny.
Oh, nice.
I love Kinnegar beer, so I was like, whoa.
I only heard about that, I think like 2 days ago. Yeah.
It's good. I recommend. Yeah. So I'm going to have a designated driver because I want to have a couple whilst I'm singing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the plan.
I don't think it'll be out by then. No, it won't be. But we'll get out soon. It'll be out in a few weeks.
But yeah, that's the plan. I guess... What else has happened? This is the start of my new year. I turned 24 yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So I don't know what's next. 24, here I come. That's the plan. Take it as it comes.
Good. Well, George, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
you so much for coming on. I've had a lot of fun having the conversation with you.
You too. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.